Subdivision section. Subdivision is the act of legally dividing a parcel of land into two or more smaller parcels. In most areas, subdividing land requires the approval of a governmental body. Just think of it like brownies. You have a big tray that you cut up into smaller pieces. A subdivision is really nothing more than a massive tray of brownies. Conversion is the process of changing from one form of ownership to another. For example, an apartment building could be converted and sold as condominiums. A condominium is an example of a subdivision. Ownership of a condominium is a blend of severalty and tenancy in common. The airspace is owned in severalty, meaning separate from the other property owners. All owners in a condo community have a tenancy in common interest in the improvements and the land. This tenancy in common ownership would represent an undivided interest in the property or an interest that cannot be physically divided. For example, if the condominium has a swimming pool, the swimming pool would be owned by all members of the community, but their ownership interest could not be physically divided. A condominium is a form of property ownership, not a land use or a design of a building. The owner of a condo would purchase and finance the property the same way as they would for any other piece of real estate. Each condo will pay his or her share of the maintenance fees and special assessments. If these are not paid, a lien will be placed against the owner's property. Foreclosure of one of the owner's units does not affect the other owners. Common areas are owned outside of the unity and are owned by all. Limited common areas are owned by all, but used by one or a few owners. Examples of limited common areas are decks, balconies, walls between units, and parking spaces. A condo is created by a developer who files a declaration and a master deed. A master deed is the document that conveys land to condo use. A declaration usually contains a property description, description of the units and common areas, limited common areas, restrictive uses, provision for amendments, and whether the ownership is a fee simple or a leasehold estate. Covenants, conditions, and restrictions, abbreviated CCRs, are the documents that control the use, requirements, and restrictions of a property as decided upon by the homeowners association. The bylaws of a condo define the responsibilities of the owners and declare how the homeowners association will operate the condo. The association consists of the owners of the condo units. Its main purpose is to control, regulate, and maintain common elements in the community. Each condo owner is responsible for paying his or her own property taxes. In a cooperative, title is held by a corporation, and the tenants receive stock and a proprietary lease. The owners have a personal interest in the real estate. The maintenance fees paid by cooperative owners include mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, and maintenance of the property. If a co-op tenant does not pay their maintenance fee, the other co-op tenants will make their payments and the defaulted tenant may be evicted. If the cooperative does not pay the taxes and mortgage payments, the entire cooperative would be sold at foreclosure and all tenants would be forced out of the property. The Articles of Incorporation, the bylaws, and the landlord, tenant laws govern the operation and possession of a cooperative. Many resort or vacation communities are sold as timeshares. This is a form of joint ownership by several persons who take turns owning a property. A timeshare may be sold as the ownership for a block of time that can reoccur. A timeshare estate is called interval ownership, and it means the party owns the property and has a deed to it. When a timeshare is sold, very often sales presentations are used. Gifts are given as incentive to come to the sales presentation. It must be disclosed that to obtain the gift, attendance at the sales presentation is required. Cluster housing is a planned subdivision where detached housing is located in close proximity to each other. Common open space, including recreation areas and parking, is shared. This helps to conserve land space. This concludes the section on subdivisions.